We have to remember that the Syrian civil war is one of the greatest humanitarian catastrophes of our time. Since it began more than 7 years ago, almost 600,000 people have died. About 11 million people are internally displaced within their own country. Perhaps millions more are refugees in surrounding countries like Turkey, Lebanon, and Jordan. And then millions more have immigrated and fled the area and have gone into countries like Romania and certainly countries like Germany and Sweden and many other countries in the European Union. So this really affects you directly, what happens here in Syria. It really has become a convergence, as I said, for competing interests. One of the main ones is the Sunni-Shiite divide. Iran is trying to build up a military presence inside Syria. They want to come closer to Israel, and that affects the Jewish state here directly. But also the Sunni nations like Egypt, Jordan, especially Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, they want to try to combat this increasing Shiite influence of the Iranian Republic, and that includes Hezbollah, which is a proxy army of the Iranian Republic of Iran, and they want to try to blunt that. So that's one of the situations going on in here. The other thing that's going on is the influence of Turkey up in the north. And the Turks, and it has a rival with the Kurds. They don't want to see a growing influence of the Kurdish people on their southern border. On the northern border of Syria, the Kurds have really carved out an area that they have maintained on autonomy. And one other major player in the region is Russia. Since 2015, they came in a major way inside the Syrian civil war. They have been the ones that have literally propped up the Syrian regime of Bashar Assad. And without their support, without Russian support, the Syrian regime may well have lost the Syrian civil war against many of these Sunni Islamist groups backed by nations like Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And so really we see this as a breeding ground. And we also have seen the influence of ISIS, which is actually waning right now. It's decreasing, but they still control some area in eastern Syria. And that's why the United States still maintains perhaps 2,000 special forces in eastern Syria to continue the war against ISIS. That's a diminishing war, but we have talked to Middle East experts that say even after ISIS may be completely defeated or eradicated, it could be an even more dangerous time because of all these competing interests. The Sunni-Shiite divide, Russia is involved, the United States is involved, the Turks and the Kurds, all these opposing forces. And the concern that many people have is that because of these competing agendas and competing interests and so many militaries inside this area of Syria, it could lead to a wider conflagration. We shall see. But it's very important for people around the world to continue to pray for what's happening inside Syria. Pray that the gospel continues to go forth, despite the fact, and we'll talk about this more a little bit, despite the fact that this carnage is going on. Many people, Muslims, are having dreams and visions of Jesus Christ and coming to faith in Him. And many times, because of the despair they see growing up in this wartime situation, they're turning for other answers. They feel like many times their government has failed them, Islam has failed them and to a certain degree, and they're looking for other answers, and many times they're finding it in Jesus Christ. So these are some of the issues that are going on, and particularly in Syria, and they're unpredictable times, but I think if we could see the long term, it looks very difficult that there might not be some sort of major conflagration or conflict.